Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here today to share some stories with you as well as an NGO that I've created. I'm 18 years old and I have grown up in Vail, Colorado, going to Vail Mountain School. I grew up in a community where having access to things like clean water, food, and an education every day is completely normal. Growing up, I loved to learn, but school was not always the place I wanted to be. I would wake up in the morning not wanting to go to school, and I told my mom I'd rather just go skiing. I never realized what an amazing opportunity it was to get such an amazing education. I also grew up in an incredibly safe community. I never had to be worried about not sleeping soundly at night because of the fear that I would either get raped or taken away from my family. I never took the time to realize that not everyone in the world lives in such a safe place with a supportive family and access to a great education every day like I do. The New York Times tells a story of a girl who was secretly brought into the life of being a sex slave. And all this girl remembers is sitting down with her aunt, taking a sip of tea, and next thing she knew, she woke up in a brothel. She was instantly forced to have sex 25 to 30 times a day, and customers paid less than $5 for sex. When police came, the traffickers have forced the girls to say that they are 22 years old and worked voluntarily. After 6 years of this horrible abuse, the brothel owner sent her home only because she was infected with tuberculosis, to find that all was left of her family was her brother. Stories like this one break my heart, and all I want is to change this from happening. All I want is to stop it. How this horrible thing that is happening all over the world, especially in Nepal. To this day, it is a huge issue in Nepal, and although there are NGOs that have put efforts into solving this issue, little has been done, and the issue is not a governmental priority. Women who are put into the situation of going with traffickers are not aware of the situations they are getting themselves into. As I began to learn more about girls getting trafficked around the world, I learned that it starts from being in poverty. Growing up in a community where people are very secure in their jobs and lifestyles and getting an education is so accessible, I previously have not thought much about how those opportunities are not there for every person across the globe. In my research I conducted, I decided to narrow my studies to Nepal. Over 30% of people in Nepal are living on less than $14 per month. The majority of these people live in rural, rugged, and mountainous areas. Most of them rely on agriculture for their income, which does not make very much money in the first place, and the places they live have little rainfall and poor soil quality for them to farm. About 70% of people in Nepal region rely on agriculture for work, which is very labor demanding and makes a very small amount of money. This leaves many people of Nepal in immense levels of poverty. About a quarter of the population is in poverty. Because the people living in Nepal are in such horrible poverty, even the kids spend their days working hard to help their parents support their family, and the children never get an opportunity to receive an education. What many people do not know is women human trafficking starts with these girls being in poverty. When the Nepalese girls are in poverty, they do not get an opportunity to get an education. Therefore, they do not understand what trafficking is. The majority of girls in Nepal who get trafficked are told by traffickers that they are being brought to a place where they will have a job. Many girls accept this opportunity to get a job because they need it for their families. Since the majority of the Nepal population is in poverty, many people are willing to do whatever it takes for work. That is why many girls are willing to agree to go with traffickers. And many times girls are taken from their families and brought into sexual exploitation. With an education, girls would know what trafficking is, and they would not be so-called tricked into going with traffickers. In addition to them understanding what trafficking is, with an education, they would also be much more likely to get jobs. Since Nepal is so close to India, which is far more developed than Nepal is, they would have a lot better chances of not being trafficked, getting a job, and escaping poverty if they were educated. Human trafficking has been around for several centuries and has a very important meaning in the lives of many. It would be safe to assume that human trafficking is going to be around for a long time and have an enormous impact on the lives of many people if the issue is not solved. In addition to being a major concern across the globe, it is considered to be one of the fastest growing areas of criminal activity. Let's take a step back for a moment to describe what human trafficking is. The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime has described human trafficking as the recruitment, transport, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a person by such means as threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, or deception for the purpose of exploitation. For years, women have been in situations like those of trafficking, and the efforts put into preventing this from happening have not been enough. Although this is a major issue, there's little evidence on how severe it is because in most circumstances it happens quite privately. Little do most people know that there are 800,000 people being trafficked every year for the purposes of forced labor, domestic servitude, or sexual exploitation. Human trafficking is an unjust way of treating people and is considered violation against human rights. It is also a form of exploitation of these people in order to get money. In addition to those factors, it can also lead to multiple different health threats like depression. Health threats that come from trafficking like depression would not have to be dealt with if trafficking didn't even happen in the first place. And trafficking only adds to the fact that Nepal as a country struggles as a whole. According to Thomas Friedman in The World is Flat, we are very close to having a frictionless world. A frictionless world means that there are no boundaries, no cultural differences, no religious differences, and everyone is able to collaborate and work together with no boundaries. I personally would have to disagree with Friedman's statement that he made, because looking at Nepal being considered one of the top poorest countries in the world with many problems like trafficking, little education, and a lot of poverty, and very few amounts of connection with the developing world, I would say we are far from the world being so-called frictionless, and a lot must be done before that can be considered. And I'm here to talk to all of you today about how I have put efforts into solving this problem and show you how you can help as well. I've been working on creating my own NGO called Educate to Save. The mission of my program is to protect young girls from being trafficked and provide them with an education so that they are able to thrive and succeed in a world without the fear of being trafficked and being in poverty. In efforts to fulfill our mission, our vision of our program is to build a boarding school in Nepal to ensure that every girl has access to a place where they feel safe, as well as a place for them to get educated in order to help relieve them from poverty. These girls do not have the money to pay for these schools, so our goal is to make it so that the school is without cost for them to attend. In addition, our goal is to provide as many girls as possible with this opportunity in order to decrease the amount of trafficking that happens in Nepal, as well as provide these girls with an education so they can eventually get out of poverty by being able to get jobs and have equal opportunities as others around the globe to be successful. Now, Educate to Save is still only at the beginning stages of being formed. Our plan is to get together as many volunteers as possible to help create what will be an amazing program. Now it's your turn to help. I'm sure after hearing all these horrible things about what these girls in Nepal are going through, you're just waiting to hear how you can help and support them. I'm happy to tell you that through my program, there's many ways for you to help, from even the smallest donation to make a difference. One program that may not apply to many of you is the local volunteer program. This is where local people have the opportunity to help. People who do this have the opportunity to help around the school. They can do things like help to keep the place clean and intact, help to build the school or any current working projects, or help with any other necessary work that a staff member has for them to do. This program is very popular to older women of Nepal because they want to help the next generation and they do not want girls to go through what they might have in the past. The next program we offer is a semester abroad for students. This is where any college student can take the opportunity to come to rural Nepal for a semester and work with the young girls. Our goal for these students is to help educate the girls, as well as they are there for such a long time that they can make lasting connections with the girls. Our final program to get involved in is the summer program. This is more directed at high school students who want to come visit and help for 2 to 3 weeks. They have the opportunity to work with students as well as get put to work with different project opportunities around the school. If these programs are too much for you, it's okay. There's other ways you can help. You can easily help by donating money or school supplies to help my organization thrive, as well as helping the girls get a safe education. To learn more about it, you can go to my website and/or email me with questions, and I'd be happy to answer for you. Being here talking to all of you today has been such a blessing to me, and it continues to break my heart every day to know what these girls are going through, and now all of you know my story as well as theirs, so you can feel for them and help as well. I cannot be more happy that this motivation for my love of helping these girls started from my globalization class as a senior at Vail Mountain School. It taught me what being a global citizen means, and that I am now someone who identifies myself as being part of the emerging world community, and my actions contribute to building this community as well as others. And I hope you all have learned the same from me today. And I'm so incredibly thankful for my education at Vail Mountain School, which has prepared me more than ever for this experience and has taught me that I can go out into the world and accomplish whatever it is I want to. Thank you.